Okay, recording. Let's see if I can get this done in one take. Right now, I apologise. Well, I apologise. What do I apologise for? I apologise for everything, right? Starting from existing through to breathing through to not being dead yet. But perhaps more specifically, what I apologise for is this is not quite the video that I intended it to be. The subject that I'm going to talk about now, I had intended on doing a fully fleshed out video on my main channel, a sort of Patreon pledged video with all the links and all the little bits. And then somewhere down the line, I both lost the motivation to do that and also felt that perhaps I'm just adding to the drama and it's not really very helpful. But I still wanted to have my say on it, so that's what I'm doing on this channel. I maybe also ought to apologise for being in one of these sort of vest tops, but it's actually a sunny day outside, which is quite rare around here, so I've been making the most of it. Okay, so I want to talk about this whole business of Michael Sherlock, who is the spokesman, chairman, leader, whatever, some head honcho at Atheist Alliance International, I think they're called, or something like that, which is an atheist organisation that maybe has more seats on top tables than any other. Right, more sort of recognition with sort of international groups, etc. So I suppose that you could say that in some ways it carries some importance, and I'll try and explain why. And what had happened is there's been a little bit of a drama in atheist circles because Michael Sherlock, who has a history of making very barbed tweets towards religion, made a tweet where he called religion a retarded relic. And the drama came about because people took exception with the ableism of his term, using retarded, which is a pejorative term which applies to people or has been applied to people with deficiencies of their cognitive and intellectual faculties. Would that be the right way to phrase it? I don't know. I don't want to just give you a whole dose of modern euphemisms there, but I want to be sort of accurate with that and not say anything offensive at the same time, otherwise it spoils the message of the video and people are taking exception at what I'm saying rather than listening to what I'm saying. It all gets very boring, doesn't it, really? Trying to cover all the bases here. But that's effectively the position, and people took exception to that. And his response to that maybe wasn't great, it has to be said, including calling a member of the community who brought him up on that a cunt, which is not becoming of his position, I think it's fair to say. And then another member of their board jumped on board, who's a bit of a provocateur generally, I think, and probably a bit of a twat, if I'm being quite frank. And that probably didn't help matters. The actual board themselves suspended him for a month, which is fair call, right? That's what they decided to do, and that was probably right. So that's kind of where that was at. But what was interesting was some of the discussion that went around that and how it all got blown out of all proportion, and how, in my view, how wonderfully sort of suffocatingly insular this is, in a kind of Western progressive little circle jerky kind of a way. That so much fuss is built up over something so small in a global sense. Most people wouldn't give a crap about that, and yet that's the bit that we're bothered about. And to try and explain what I mean by that, if you try and put this into a context, Godless Mom, who's somebody I very much admire, did a blog on this and looking around this and talked about some of the work that this group does. And what she said is that they help. One of the things they do is they enable atheists from around the world. You could be an atheist teenager, a girl or a boy, or non-binary teenage person or whatever, in Pakistan, who comes out as an atheist, and you're dyed-in-the-wool Muslim dad or mum or non-binary person, right, takes exception to that and makes things very difficult for you, and they will support you in that. Okay, so that's some of the work that they do, and the problem with that is when viewed in this context, I mean, how myopic do we have to be to think that, and the idea was that using language like retarded is undermining that. Now, I have to say that I do believe that if you're in a position like Michael Sherlock, you shouldn't be using language like that. But that isn't the biggest issue that I have with his tweet. Because you imagine the situation here then. So this atheist, let's say this atheist teenage girl in Pakistan, staunch Muslim dad, she comes out as an atheist. He's not happy, he wants to kick her out of the house, never wants to speak to her again, disown her, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to support her. He finds out that she is being supported by this group called Atheist Alliance International or whatever. So he goes and finds out about that on Twitter. And he finds out that Michael Sherlock is in charge of this organisation and that he has made this tweet calling religion, his religion included, a retarded relic. Now, do you think for one moment that the bit that he's going to take issue with, he's going to say, and I won't do the voice, right, but he's going to say, oh my God, they've used ableist language, right? He's not going to think that in a million years. He won't give a crap about that. 2, he's probably never even considered the concept of ableism his entire fucking life, right? And 3, the bit that he's going to object to, plain and simple, is the fact that you have just insulted his religion, the thing that is the bedrock of his life. And this is the point, really. If what you want as an organisation is a seat at these high tables, then you have to play the game. You can't criticise religion as an atheist organisation or as a spokesperson for an atheist organisation the same way that you or I would. You have to play the game a little bit and play a little bit more nice. And the bit that's going to be offensive, right, and the bit that's been offensive throughout Michael Sherlock's history of tweeting, the bit that confounds the job he is supposed to be doing is not the fact that he's used an ableist term, right? You can take exception to that, but really, you're missing the wood for the trees. You're picking, there's the forest in front of you, and you've taken exception to one tiny little fucking sapling that nobody outside of your corner of the world is going to give a flying fuck about, quite honestly. They're going to give a fuck about all the rest of it. And the rest of it is the way that people like Michael Sherlock talk about religion. Because it is their stock in trade to be as offensive as they can towards the religions of the world and then want a seat at these tables where everybody is expected to play nice and then be a representative effectively for atheism, because that is what will happen when that Pakistani Muslim dad looks it up and goes through all the tweets that Michael Sherlock has made over the last few years. I just kind of beggars belief the level of myopia that you have to see that the things that you regard as issues must be everybody's issues. That's what you're taking offence at. So that must be the really offensive part of this tweet that's going to stop you doing your mission. Right. So that put me in a really kind of dissonant frame of mind when I saw all that going on, because I had some agreement with the complaint that was being made against Michael Sherlock. I agreed fundamentally that that's probably a term that he shouldn't use, right? I agreed with that, but it just kind of, I was kind of spitting feathers at the fact that he could have made, people said, well, he should have put moronic religion or stupid religion or nasty religion or something like that. And then what? Then that would have been okay within the remit of what Atheist Alliance International is trying to do. No, it wouldn't be. That would have dealt with the 1% of what was wrong and ignored the fucking 99%. If I want to say that about religion, that it's a moronic relic or a stupid relic or a nasty relic, that's fine, because that's just me. It doesn't reflect. You might be, well, one atheist is saying this and he's a bit of a twat generally, but I'm not the head of the organisation that is apparently at the table, at the top table of more organisations than any other atheist organisation. Okay, interested to know what you think about that. If you know all about this, what I will try and do is furnish this with at least a couple of links. But like I say, this is just an off-the-cuff one, so I'm not going to sit here for an hour sort of trying to give you all the background to this. So if you don't know all about all this that went on, you just have to take it as sort of as I have described it. Okay, thank you for watching, and bye for now.